Good afternoon and welcome back to Leasehold Knowledge Week. This afternoon's session will be covering some unanswered questions in the lift industry and will be presented by Jane Bagust, CEO of J&E Lift. Again, I would like to thank all of our leasehold sponsors, our headline sponsor FR Consultants, and event sponsors Foresight Consulting, BBIS Heating, Beehive Block Management, Fixflow, Future Group, JM2 Group, MRI Software, PropRec, Present It, Realty Law, Tetra Consulting, and TNA Building Services. If you have any questions throughout the webinar today, then please post them in the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and we will try to get through as many as possible at the end. The session is being recorded and will be available to watch back via the News on the Block YouTube channel later today. Without further ado, I will now hand you over to Jane so she may begin the session.
Thank you, Vicky. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I hope you're all well enjoying this sunny day. So I'm just going to give you a little brief introduction about J&E Lifts. So I'm the CEO of J&E Lifts. So we started in 2013. And obviously we come in a major force in the competitive lift industry. So I'm trying to promote lots of women in the industry. We have very few at the moment, lots of women in the offices and lift companies, but not many women on the tools. So I know that more women are coming in to do their MVQ, which is great. It's fantastic for the industry. We need some more passion, and it's been I think the lift industry as a whole has been a bit stagnant, and we're kind of opening it up now so people can see what's going on. Because, you know, when people turn up on site, you know, you can see when your gardener's been, your gardener's looking lovely, you can see when your cleaner's been, but you can't actually see. When I ask people, when does your lift engineer come? You know, it's all behind the scenes. So I've tried to open it up the best I can. And I really would like to bring young women into the industry. There's nothing on a lift that a woman can't do. There's more people coming into other trades. And I would really like to roll out a women engineering programme, apprentices. So we're actually based in Bexley, in Kent. There's lots of independents in our region. But we are very customer focused. It's really important for me. We always send pictures and photographs of everything, so people can actually see what's in the lift shaft, what we're talking about. You know, it's always been very closed shop, and I think it's really important that people can see what's going on. You know, if you think about how many buildings in London have a lift, anything over 3 floors has a lift, and then also you've got lots of new buildings now going in all around London M25, and it's really exciting. I mean, I love the lift industry. I find it really, really fascinating. My dad was a mechanic, and I drive a motorbike, for people who don't know. And for me, you know, a lift, you know, it's a box that goes up and down with components, and it's really easier to explain to people. You know, it's been very closed. People didn't want to really share very much information, I think. So now, you know, I'm trying to speak to like-minded businesses who want to work with a lift company that's, you know, very focused on their clients. And also we do, our team, we deliver service, we do repairs, we do new lifts, and a lot of our clients we've had with us for long standing, and hopefully we build the relationship for years to come. You know, lift goes in and has a lifespan, 20-25 years, you know, and it needs modernisations, and we're there for the whole of that time with our client. There's a lot of lifts in London that are 40 years plus. You know, there's a lot of a lot of lifts out there that need maintenance, and clients don't really. It feels to me that clients really are not. You know, they don't know and not really given enough information. So I always go out onto site as well. I do free site surveys. So if anyone's got a lift and they want me to go and have a look at it, You know, I was just talking before, it's quite amusing when I turn up on site and they say, oh, is the man coming? You know, so that's quite interesting. So, you know, women out there, if you want to know anything about your lifts, you know, even men, just come and, you know, ring me. You know, I'm on LinkedIn, message me, email me. I can give you all the information you want, you know. And as I said, there's lots of different types of kit out there. So you've got Otis, Schindler, Thyssen, all the big companies. And I find it really interesting. I always use a car analogy. So it's a little bit like looking at, you know, say an Otis is a Mini, you know, so all Otises are very similar. Schindler's, you know, it's you know, once you know the components, it's not too hard. And then you can relay that to your clients. So clients obviously don't know, you know, how long my lift's gonna last, you know, and it's always very different because each building is very different. You know, if you've got a small block and there's only a couple of floors, the lift doesn't get used probably as much as a high rise. So each building is very different. So everything has to be site specific, to be fair. And also we are dependent on developers, obviously depending what type of equipment they put in. The lift companies are always the ones that are left to maintain it. So if it comes from the original installer, we can maintain any lift. So going on to that, I'm going to talk about maintenance contracts. So with maintenance contracts, okay, you can have different types of contracts. So standard, intermediate, comprehensive, and this all depends on type of equipment, number of floors, and, you know, let me survey the lift and then I can tell you what's best for you. If you've got an older lift that's 40 years old, you know, you're going to need more maintenance because it's all mechanical. The new lifts today are computerized, so you get an MRL, which is called a motor room lift, and that has no motor room, it has a panel, and then all the components there. If you have a hydraulic, you'll have a motor room with the hydraulics in. And developers over the years have realised a lot of the old buildings had motor rooms, and the motor rooms are, you know, some of them are the size of a small bedsit or you know, little apartment, and they can use that, put on the MRL, and they can use that space. So the MRLs are have less space. I mean, my personal opinion is I like old lifts. I've got some lifts in the portfolio that are 40 years plus and they're still going. You know, it doesn't mean to say, you know, the older they are, they're not as reliable. In my experience, it depends on how you look after the lift and how it's maintained. So the newer lifts today have less service visits. The older lifts, I think, if you can maintain them, they will last longer. So I think it's very important. You know, and also you need to look at how many call outs you have per lift. You know, if you're going to go on a fully comprehensive and you get no call outs, it's a bit of a false economy, because not everything is actually covered. People seem to think with a comprehensive agreement, all your parts are included. But, you know, a comprehensive agreement doesn't cover major components. So obviously drives, ropes, excuse me, drink. You know, and standard basic is your, you know, is your standing point. So it does depend on usage and how your lift's looked after. Most calls on lifts are to do with the doors and misuse. So people moving in and out of buildings, overloading the lifts. So, you know, that's not covered under a comprehensive agreement. So it is a little bit of a false economy. So I think it's very important to have a free survey on your lift. And then we can give you an overview as a lift company. You know, we look after so many different types of buildings. We look after residential, commercial. We've got hotels, care homes. So we have a very variety of lifts. And then the engineers, obviously you've got engineers that have been in the lift industry for quite a while, and they look after, you know, how to do all the older kit. The new guys come out and they know all about the new equipment, digital stuff. You know, it's very, very interesting to see. And there's nothing more satisfying than, you know, I took a couple of lifts on a portfolio, they were with a company, they were breaking down every week. You know, it took us, you know, a little bit of time to get the lifts up to scratch, and now, you know, they're not breaking down. And for me, that's really satisfying. So we're in a business of, you know, being very reactive. So someone's stuck in a lift. That's the other thing. People always seem to think we've got a blue light. Unfortunately, we don't have a blue light. We get to site as soon as possible. So for us, it's about making sure the passengers are safe, you know, they're calm, you know, and just sort of trying to give them an ETA and explaining to them that we're on our way, you know. So it's how everything's dealt with. And for me, you know, every client is important, whether you've got one lift or 100 lifts. For me, my service is the same. And where I'm so passionate about what I do, I think that kind of shows with my clients. And, you know, for me, it's about getting results. You know, we want lifts to work. You know, we want them to be working to the best of their, you know, ability, but we obviously can't stop people misusing, excuse me, the lifts. You know, people hold the doors open, people don't really realise that, you know, they can trip the lift out. So, you know, there's all sorts of things. It's about being educated. You can have key preference switch inside the lift. So when people are moving in and out, you turn a key, and then, you know, people could do that without holding the doors open. So there's always a solution in my book, you know, but unfortunately, people seem to sort of forget about the lift. You know, they want to do a very cheap maintenance agreement, and if you do that, you know, you're not going to get the standard and quality. So for me, it's not about being the cheapest, it's about the level of service, you know. So I think that's something to think about, you know, with residents. I know it's a lot of cost, you know, cost factor, but think about the cost if your lift isn't working. You know, if you've got 10 floors in a building and there's no lift, you know, people are going to be really upset that they don't have a lift. So, you know, it's really important that you keep money in the budget to look after it and maintain it. Everyone seems to go with the aesthetics of the lift. So, oh, my lift looks tired and dated, and they want to spend money on mirrors, and they want to spend money on new flooring. But, you know, they've got a control panel that's 30 years old. So, you know, I'd always advise people that, you know, it's like having a vintage car, you know, and doing all the outside up of the vintage car and leaving the original engine. So it's a little bit like that. I always use the car analogy because it's sort of easy for me. But, you know, the main part of your lift is to make sure that, you know, the drive, the motor, all of that is working first, and then look at the aesthetics. Because I do go to sites and people go, oh, I've got a new lift. And because it's got, you know, it looks nice inside, and I'm actually, you know, your lift's like 35 years old. So, and then once I take pictures, so I take pictures of the shafts, I take pictures of the ropes, I take pictures of everything. So people can, they're really quite amazed once they see the pictures, because it's not something from a James Bond film, you know. And also we talk about safety, because, you know, my engineer's safety is paramount, you know, and it is, you know, lifts are very, very dangerous, you know. So it's all about making sure if all the correct procedures are in place, and it's yeah, and just letting people know what kind of equipment they've got, how much money, you know, they need to put in the budget, and, you know, it's not about how the lift looks. I mean, some of the lifts, I went to one, it's the 1970s carpet tiles, which look horrendous, but this lift never breaks down, you know. It's yeah, you can go anywhere you want with a lift, basically. I've been up in Knightsbridge, and they've got ostrich skin inside the lift cars, because I thought, oh, it's very plastic. And it's like, no, this is ostrich skin. I've been in another lift and it had a chandelier and pony skin, you know. So it depends. A lot of people in London have lifts inside their houses, which are really fascinating. So, you know, depending on your budget, you have to look at your budgets, and obviously residents govern what they're going to have done. But all I say is, look at your lift and think, you know, what will happen if I don't have a lift? basically. You know, it is, it's an integral part of your building. It actually gives value to your apartment or flat or house, if you have a lift in your house. So, you know, it is really important. And, you know, I see historical sites, I see new lifts from, you know, Spain, Greece. There's so many different packages out there, but we, as a lift maintenance supplier, we don't, you know, we can't govern what's actually in the building already. So unfortunately, some developers, they'll just put in cheap packages, and then yeah, it's down to the lift companies to kind of sort that out, and residents need to, you know, they don't really are aware of that. So I'm going on to the lift service requirements. So we talk about a basic service visit. So we do a visual inspection, and then we check all the indicators. There's, you know, all of the things on here, because you can see the slides. We ensure the alarm's working. We check that the doors open. You know, on each service visit, you have different things that you need to do. But basically, we're checking to make sure that everything's safe. And we check the doors, traps, and we assess for, you know, we oil and grease if necessary. So it's quite interesting. If anyone wants to see any photographs of any parts of the lift after, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to send you some pictures of shafts, and, you know, it's very interesting, to be fair. So then looking at the Lolas. So Lola's inspections, people are always very confused about the Lolas. And a Lola is generally inspected by the insurance inspector twice a year, independently of the lift company. So the lift company doesn't take this out. So it's normally part of your building's insurance. And the lift inspector doesn't always highlight all items on the reports, because some people say to me, well, it's not on the insurance report. But as a lift company, we have to report stuff that we see. An insurance inspector gets, I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes maybe on the lift. So he's not going to see everything. And his job is to see items that are deemed unfit or health or safety. But the maintenance company will report on every visit. And as I said, this can be very confusing for PMs and property managers and lift owners, because if it's not on the report, they're intending, you know, do we have to do it? It's not on the report. So it can be a little bit confusing. Also, some inspectors have a little bit of a habit of repeating stuff when it's been done. Sort of pet hate of mine was that we do the repairs and the next insurance inspection comes out and it's still on there. But, you know, we work with these people, which is, you know, it's normally, I think there's Allianz, the British Engineering, there's a few companies, and I get on very well with lots of the insurance inspectors. So, you know, we've got guides. If anyone wants guides if anyone wants a guide for the Lolas, let me know, because I've got some information that people can have on that. So there's an thorough examination for the Lowe's 1998 working equipment. So I've got lots of information if anybody wants any information. Okay, then moving on. So people aren't always aware. So inside a lift car, okay, you have to have a two-way, you have to have communication. If someone gets stuck in the lift and there's no telephone working, you know, they've got no mobile, they're going to be stuck in that lift. So I'm not sure if people are aware, I haven't put it on the slide, but in 2025, the BT are changing, they're going to be disconnecting analogue lines. So we've been promoting GSM units, which are run on a SIM card. So basically your lift, you won't have a phone line anymore. It has a SIM card in it, and we can run that for you. So yes, it's a requirement to fit an alarm device since 1st July 1999. If some buildings are older and they've got a 24-hour concierge and someone can hear the alarm, you know, then people ask me, you know, do I have to have it? We recommend it, but obviously it's not my lift. At the end of the day, we can only recommend stuff. So when I put recommendations, it's for health and safety. So, you know, lift companies supplying Ultra, it's the BSENA 8128, standard for new alarm systems. And it just means that if someone gets stuck in the lift, they can communicate. It generally goes through to the call centre, so mine goes through to our call centre, and they will talk to the person in the lift, make sure they're calm if they get stuck. So it's really important, because I mean, I would hate to be stuck in a lift and I couldn't speak to anybody, because my dad's 80, he doesn't use a mobile. If he got in a lift and he got stuck, you know, it's down. It would then come back to the managing agent or whoever is looking after the lift. If it's been reported, you know, someone's going to need to speak to someone. And excuse me. So owners of lifts without alarm device would be well advised to consider how carefully how some trapped passenger and the potential liabilities for them as owners. So, you know, if someone's stuck in a lift for, you know, imagine if they were stuck in there 2-3 hours and they had no way of getting out, you know, I wouldn't be very happy, and they could press, you know, they could go for liabilities. So we always try and recommend that to people. You know, people always mention there's no money in budgets, but obviously I point out everything that needs to be done in that lift. For me, it's really important, safety first. You know, we have to report this stuff. And as I said, you know, with a lift, you know, if you've got older equipment and it's being reported, your insurance man pulls it up, you know, you have to get it done. Otherwise, they will shut the lift down. If it's an immediate defect, I think they get 30 days and they will shut the lift down. So it's really important, you know. So it's all about, for me, it's about safety, you know, making sure, you know, it's not about always about the visual element of the lift. You know, some lifts can look nice, but they break down every week. So it's about giving people that information, you know. So if anybody wants information, please, by all means, message me. You know, all my details are out there. You know, I find the industry as a whole, you know, as I said, it was always very closed shop, and no one really knew what was going on. And now, with modern technology, we can take photographs on the site. You know, we can PDA sheets. You know, there's so much more that you can get as a client now. So, you know, gone are the days when a left engineer went in and went out. You know, a lot of sites now, we look after the Saudi Arabian Air Force building, which is a fantastic site for us. We look after some Hilton hotels. So, yeah, London M25 we cover. So we can also put in new lifts. We can do modernisations, any repairs. Even if I don't maintain the lifts, I'm more than happy to quote for repairs or modernisations. So yeah, anything with lifts, I'm your, you know, the company to go to. I think, you know, I like to be very personable. You know, even if it's some advice I can give, and it's not, you know, a lift I look after, I'm more than happy to give some advice. And as I said, lifts are my passion. My business is my passion. My clients come first, you know, and I'll always be honest. I'm always honest with clients. I've just had a local so we've just got a local tennis club today. Now, they said they've had 5 or 6 lift companies come in. You know, they want to quote for a brand new lift, and we've went in, and it's a couple of batteries. So that just goes to show, you know, depending, if you trust your lift company and they can be honest, you know, we want local businesses as well. You know, I think it's really important to build that relationship with your client. You know, some people give me and what most people do, they give me their worst lift on their portfolio. They're, right, give Jane that one, see what she does. 6 months later, the lift's running, all happy days. Oh, here we go, there's another 10. You know, people don't just go, oh, here's my lovely lifts, and they never break down. So it's about showing clients what we can do. And I always like to email clients, let them know lifts back in service, what's happened. You know, keep everyone informed of what's going on, because that was always a pet hate of my clients. They said, oh, we never know, you know, if our lift's back on, has anyone been? So it's about letting people know, you know, there is no secrets here, you know. And as I said, it's a box that goes up and down with components on it. You know, I can explain every single component. I did start my MVQ 3, and I will be going back to it. Unfortunately had a nasty accident, not on my motorbike, thank God, but unbelievably so, not on a lift either, I fell over with my dog, if you can believe that. I had 2 black eyes, I pulled my arm out, so I struggled to go to site for a little bit. So yeah, well listen, I seem like I'm waffling a little bit now. So if it's okay with everyone, I'm going to go on to the questions slide. So if anybody's got any questions, I hope people found that a little bit informative. I'm not really great with these things, but hey ho, let's give it a go. So thanks very much, Vicky.
Hi Jane, no problem. I think that was very good. Oh, sorry, I've got really bright light coming through my window all of a sudden. Oh,
there you are.
That's a bit better. It's shining on my camera, I think. Yeah, we've got no questions come through at the moment, so I think we can finish there unless anyone's got anything they would like to submit now. I'll just give it a minute. No, I don't think we've got any questions. So I think we will finish up there, if that's okay with you, Jane.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for the opportunity, Vicky. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Cool.
So thank you to everyone else for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. For our final webinar of the week. And that is a step-by-step guide to lease extensions with Danny Green and Verity McMahon from Breverton's. They're basically just going to be doing a recap of the session they did at the live conference yesterday for anyone who could not join that live session. I will send out a copy of oh, actually it was something that's just come up in
the chat. What's that one?
Can I have a guide? Is that the guide that you mentioned, I think?
Yeah, no problem. If you can get me an email and I can send the guide across, not a problem.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, we can send that out to you, Christine. I will send a copy of the recording out as well, which will be available on our YouTube for anyone else who missed the live session and couldn't join us now. Other than that, thank you so much for your time, Jane, and I will speak to you soon.
Yeah, thanks, Vicky. Take care. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.